Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast and a game between TSL's Hyun versus Empire's Kaz. Game 1 taking place here on Daybreak. First thing I want to say is I am back home, and hopefully you guys are enjoying me in stereo sound. I may still have the green screen issue, but then again I at least upgraded my sound equipment and now you guys can hear me on both the left and right channels. Alright, in the bottom left hand side of the map we do have TSL's Hyun spawning as the red Zerg, meanwhile Empire Kaz spawning as the green Terran. Now Terran versus Zerg here on Daybreak. There are only 2 spawning locations on this map, as I'm sure many of you guys do know, and we'll see what the strategies will be. Now in the Zerg versus Terran, there's a lot of different strategies that players can try and utilize. I have seen a lot of spawning pools followed by hatchery for Zerg players to try to get that fast economic lead. Now taking a look at the overall gameplay, the natural expansions are pretty easy to take, but that third base is always a little bit more tricky. Zerg players normally like to take this expansion that is a little bit more tucked away. Meanwhile, Terran players can afford to lay down this expansion here and place a planetary fortress. By placing a planetary fortress in this location, they actually gain a little bit of map control, and they can also utilize siege tanks at this Zelnaga tower and then easily defend this as their 4th base. Even though it looks like this is a little bit of a gimpy expansion, there is a rich Vespene geyser here that really does help out. Hyun is opening up with a hatchery first, but meanwhile Kaz is also opening up with a command center first. Very interesting strategy, as both players opting to go a more economic route in their game. Now I will say this right now, if you guys do need a little bit of adjustment in terms of the audio issues, let me know. I am still waiting on the last couple sets of wires, but then again it may not even work, and I am trying to give you guys better quality here as the game does roll on. We can see that the barracks is being placed down, and Kaz will be going into the double barracks. Will he be going into the triple barracks is going to be my next question, as a lot of Terran players do opt to go triple racks and then establish their gas. So far it looks like the drone has wandered around. It did pretty much see the command center first, and he didn't even need to look up the ramp because he pretty much knew what was already going to be up there. So by figuring out what was going on inside his opponent's base, just by taking a look at the natural expansion, and that drone was able to get back to work and start to harvest more minerals. Now, I am curious as to why Hyun is not opting to go for a 3rd base yet. Normally by this time, is Hyun going into a 3rd base? No, not quite yet. He is upgrading his queens right now, so double queen production, and we may see we need to see a Vespene geyser go down in order for it to be any sort of 2-base roach pressure. Meanwhile, we are going into that double refinery here, but this is only off of 2 barracks, a little bit less than what you normally see in terms of the metagame. We may not have enough Marines in order to fend off against any serious Baneling or Zergling aggression. Alright, we are going to see an SCV down over here. Kaz is taking a look around, sees that a 3rd base has not been established, and that should be a little bit of a telltale sign that something could be coming momentarily. So far we could see some bunkers now be placed down off over here, and I forgot to set myself to busy. Alright, everything is going well for me. Thank you, Dr. Thunder, for even asking. As the game is going to roll on here, we are adding on a reactor here. We are going into a factory. We should have some Hellions here in just a moment, as some Marines now make their way down to hold a Zelnaga tower. We are going to see some Zerglings make sure that there are no hidden expansions anywhere, as a group of Marines may get lucky. Nope, not going to find this Overlord, as the map seems to be very, very well suited for a Zerg. These high ground locations right here preventing any Marines from shooting down the Overlords and giving Overlords a lot of map control early on in the game. We are seeing the third base now established at the 6-minute mark, but there is 2 queens already making their way down there. What we'll most likely see is that the queens should be able to, oh look, the overlord looks like it will get shot down here, and Hyun not paying attention, going to be taking a lot of damage as the marines are now making their way over to the hatchery, doing a little bit of stutter sidestep, trying to get some shots off onto the hatchery, as we see that the queens are getting in a lot of damage with that 5 range. The marines pretty much the same range as those queens, as those queens are now going to be pushing those marines off of creep. And we see that Kaz is unable to really take down this hatchery at all, especially with Hyun going for 4 queens. 4 queens not costing any larva, and Hyun really going heavy in the macro game, sitting on 38 drones, getting up his 3rd base. But we see Kaz already has up his 3rd base, and now going into an orbital command as well. So both players really macroing things up so far. We are going into double engineering bays now. We could see an armory come in momentarily as well in order to get level 2 weapons upgrade, as I believe that is the route we will see. So far, Hellions are making a move down across the map. We are going to see just Marines hanging around at the Zelnaga Tower. 3 bases to 2, but this orbital command now making its way most likely down over here. There is a Zergling currently blocking its location, but that Zergling will just get shooed away. Alright, we are seeing a rather large attack force come in. 1-1 upgrades coming in. We are going into Stim Pack, no combat shield as of yet, and also going into a Starport. Starport will most likely swap with this factory here, as we now see Hellions and Marines still reinforcing the rest of the group. How much damage can these units do? There is a whole bunch of queens, so this massive queen strategy by Hyun, and Hyun is going to be able to pretty much defend this very easily, as the queens do have faster movement speed than Marines on creep. We're going to see that those queens are now backing away, but Hellions did make their way inside the natural, getting in a lot of drone kills. That is a lot of death already. 6 drones have been killed. A lot of Zerglings getting lost as well. Let's take a look at the overall losses. 875 versus 650. Really not that much damage dealt, as we now see 14 drones being trained. So far, Hyun, though, does need to perhaps go into a macro hatch somewhere in order to be able to train up more units. You can see that a lot of the units that Hyun is training so far is really larva intensive for their supplies. Zergling's now going to make their way in, take down this 1 Marine over here at the Zelnaga Tower, as the Marines and the Marauders are backing off. The Zergling's now looking to perhaps put some pressure over here on the 3rd, as more units do regroup here at the natural. Zergling's now going to do a run in here. The orbital command most likely will be lifting off in just a second. Cannot take that much damage. Marines now making their way down. We are going into 1-1 upgrades on both sides. Triple training SCVs, as the Zerglings are backing off. Infestation pit and a hatchery is going down. There's that macro hatch that I mentioned earlier, as a Zergling going to be able to get in a quick run inside the base. And now pretty much Hyun knows everything that Kaz is doing. Both sides about even in terms of supply, as we now see a crazy number of creep tumors making their way out across the map. So based upon the style and the play that I see from Hyun, this may be that slow hive tech push, with queens, broodlords, and corruptors, with perhaps even some ultralists. That is perhaps one of the strongest openings I've seen against Terran, as the queens are able to transfuse and are also able to shoot down Vikings with their damage 9, range of 7. Essentially Goliaths that can kind of heal and do a very, very good job at that. 124 supply versus 91. Hyun is getting up a little bit of a bank, now getting into banelings as well. And both sides now still playing a very heavy economic game, but it is a 4-base Zerg, or will be a 4-base Zerg, compared to a 3-base Terran. A lot of barracks. This is going to be 2-2 upgrades on those barracks, but the infestors with a fungal growth should stop any Marine aggression unless ghosts are added to this group. You can see a lot of Marines are on the field, and as long as those infestors are able to get off 2 fungal growths each, and hit the fungal growths on top of those Marines, they will definitely be worth their gas and their overall resources. Level 1 vehicle weapons upgrades, siege tanks really going to be benefiting there. You can see the creep tumors are now simply making their way across the map, and they're going to be able to just spread creep all across this map, making it very difficult for any sort of Terran fight. The Zerg really benefiting from that movement speed, as banelings, even without the movement speed upgrade, are faster than Marines. Are they faster than actually even faster than stimmed Marines? As we now see, I believe the baneling movement speed, yes, has been researched, so that is very, very fast movement speed there. Should be able to just run in and splash on top of all of those Marines and Marauders without any real issue. 145 versus 188. Let's take a look at the overall army size. Zerg is a little bit less, but he does have, oh, what is this? Some Marines now trying to make their way out, and 2 Marines may get taken down here. Nope, there's a fungal growth instead. Are we going to get some infested Terran perhaps? No, it looks like it is just going to be 1 dead medevac as the Marine drops out of it just in time. Kaz with some brilliant micro there, knowing that every unit matters, dropping the Marine so that it doesn't go down with the medevac. Alright, I believe that was a bad trade in terms of energy, but Hyun has so many creep tumors out on the map that Kaz is going to be forced to use a lot of scans in order to clear this out. You can see how much a scan there, taking down multiple creep tumors here, but we may have a bit of a run by, and here we go. Zerglings are going to make their way in. The banelings should just burrow themselves on the ramp here and doing a little bit of a dance first as the siege tanks are going to try to take it down. Zerglings perhaps should not have danced there, should have engaged, and that may be the fault as the infestors are now looking to try and run away. Zerglings going to run back down over as the group is now coming in. Another fungal growth could be going down. There's a beautiful fungal. Another fungal needs to come in. There it is, as infestors are getting taken down. Zerglings now taking down a lot of the production buildings as the baneling does hit a bit of a splash there. And Hyun getting a little bit too cute for his own good, actually a bit behind now, as we are now sitting at 105 versus 146. There are still some Zerglings inside the main base, and that 2 seconds of, I believe, dancing Zerglings may have cost them the game. And I can't go back, and I could go back and rewind, but I believe that is what I saw, as we are now going into Ultralists and more infestors. Zerg sitting on a large amount of gas and will be able to do some crazy tech switches. Hyun did end up losing this hatchery here in that engagement. Let's take a look at the overall worker kills. 45 worker kills compared to 7, and now overall harvester count 66 compared to 42. So even though Hyun did do a little bit more damage in terms of the overall economy, Kaz now with a larger army deciding to strike while he has the army advantage and soon the upgrade advantage. No, it's actually both sides going to 3-3, so this will be fairly even. Zerglings now looking to run in. There is 1 siege tank blasting away, taking down a whole bunch of Zerglings here as the Marines are looking to take down this hatchery. The Zerglings are not going to be able to do much of anything, as we are seeing a little bit of a fallback and retreat as Hyun needs to regroup. Perhaps he wasn't expecting Kaz to be able to macro such a large army at this stage in the game. Kaz applying pressure, but he is very, very deep inside enemy territory, fighting on creep. Those Zerglings will be able to encroach rather quickly, as we now see mass Marines and Marauders taking down a hatchery and not even allowing those Broodlings to get any shots off there. No Ultralists yet, no Broodlords yet, as those Zerglings are going to finish off the siege tanks, and with the siege tanks gone, banelings may be able to just simply destroy all of these Marines. Marines have finished off the 3rd base here. Still really no damage out here by Kaz. 124 versus 189. The longer this game goes, oh, fungal growth! I can't believe how much damage. And Kaz losing a whole bunch of units in that engagement there. Let's take a look at the overall army, as we now see Zerg trying to replenish with a whole bunch more Zerglings. Marines now once again dropping, taking down a hatchery, but some mass fungal growth still doing their damage here. 1 more fungal growth coming in. More Marines getting taken down. And I believe the rest of these Zerglings could take down. No, those Marines will not fall, as there is enough medevac support here. A new round of units from Kaz looking to finish off, and will it be able to deal a devastating blow, or will Hyun be able to ride the wave back and come back from being behind in terms of overall supply? 4,600 minerals versus 3,375, and here we go. Ultralists are being added. Zerglings now trying to do a surround here. Infestor is going to get off some fungal growth, but no real strong grouping of Marines, and there is the GG. Hyun losing game 1 in this series to Empire Kaz, and I really think that Hyun overestimated his chances and simply lost too much to the siege tanks with 1-0 upgrades and the fully upgraded Marines being able to push out. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 1 in the series. Stay tuned for Game 2.